to Every Day is a New Day.
Kim O'Neill from KimO'NeillCoaching.com.
We are live. Welcome to another episode of the Every Day is a New Day show, where I speak with really awesome guests about moving forward and choosing to embrace a positive outlook. My name is Kim O'Neill, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a career transition coach and interview confidence coach. And if you'd like to find out more about how I can support you in making your desired career transition so you can finally love your life, make 2019 the year that you actually love what you do, then I invite you to visit me over on KimO'NeillCoaching.com, book a free strategy session, and we will get going. I look forward to it. If you're watching us live, you have found us on Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching, the Every Day is a New Day show and coaching page. And your likes, comments, and shares are always, always welcome. Not only do they support me, the show, and my guest, but they also benefit all those who are going to benefit from watching today's interview. And it's going to be a really interesting one. I've been waiting for this for quite some time. So with that said, I want to welcome today's guest. Today, we are speaking with Eva Vennari. Hello, Eva.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, and where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Los Angeles proper, right in the heart of it all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we aren't too far then, actually. I'm also in the LA County area. I wouldn't say proper, but it's okay, so here's what I like to do just to start off. For all those who are just getting to know you for the very first time, for formality's sake, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio, and then we'll get into learning more about you, your story, and of course, the awesome stuff that you do. So, okay, so Eva Vennari is the founder and CEO of the Elevate Institute, a cutting-edge health coaching firm specializing in empowering individuals to take charge of their body and their health. She is the creator of Reveal, a hair analysis technique that lets you understand what it is exactly your body needs to heal and rejuvenate. She's the founder of Evolve Academy, the school of purposeful living, and she's also the creator of Elevate, a high-end retreat experience that helps you create lasting shifts. She is on a mission to dismantle, my favorite word these days, by the way. Okay. She is on a mission to dismantle the status quo of the sickness industry. Having spent most of her adult life suffering from all kinds of conditions and fighting for her sanity, she decided to take matters into her own hands. That's when everything shifted and her body went from being the enemy to being her best and most devoted ally and partner. And today, she now teaches worldwide how sensitive people can take charge of their well-being and thrive in their lives. And that is so awesome, Eva. Such a cool story right there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, so tell us how you got to this place where you have been dismantling the status quo and the sickness industry and all of that. I want to know all of it.
It fell into my lap. It's like I've been living a long time with doing things that I didn't necessarily want to do. And one of them was raising my two kids on my own. Oh. And anytime you do things out of necessity, out of obligation, there tends to be a little bit of discomfort, known today as dis-ease. And I was burning myself out of job after job, trying to bring home the bacon, so to speak, and found myself in front of doctors saying, why am I so tired? What's going on? And they kept saying, oh, Eva, you just have a stressful lifestyle. You look fine on paper. You should just go home. In fact, here's an antidepressant. Take this instead. And I went, I don't want that. That doesn't make sense to me. And they actually called me a hypochondriac. It's okay. I know I'm not. There's something going on. Yeah, and I refused. I tore up those prescriptions, fired the doctors, and I said, all right, I need to find a better solution. And I'm not a doctor. I found out how to tap into the body's natural healing ability to get it on its own healing path. Each person is individual, customized by using your hair. It's crazy and amazing.
What led you to even think to look at hair?
Well, I was up with insomnia, blessed with it, as I say today.
Nice.
I had chronic fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, depression, fibromyalgia. And by the way, in saying this out loud and in public, I am completely unemployable, and I'm very much happy about that. So
I love
But
I love your perspectives. This is awesome.
I don't really want to work for bigger companies myself anymore. But at that time, I was up and I was tired, and 3 o'clock in the morning, and I put in the search string of all these different diagnoses and symptoms, and it threw back these interesting articles all about nutritional counseling and the balancing that you can do with minerals in the body. And I thought, okay, I know that my body can heal itself if I just give it what it needs. So I needed to find a better answer. And these articles, they echoed that belief. And then I kept reading more, and it just echoed my whole situation. If you have this imbalance, you're going to feel like that. If you have that imbalance, you're going to feel like this. And I went, oh, that's me. And as I scrolled down through it, it started talking about hair analysis. And I was like, what is this? This is intriguing. And that morning, because I didn't want to wake anybody, I found a local practitioner. I called her and I told her, I am your next client. And that's how I started hair analysis for myself. Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that I love that we said is that you already knew before you knew that really hair was going to be the avenue to all this other stuff that came about for you. But you already knew that you were going to be able to heal your body, or that your body could heal itself. Do you recall how you knew that, how you learned that, how you came to that?
I had it as a thought that kind of, for lack of better terms, came to me. And you ever heard something that out of the blue and it just resonated and you could feel on the inside, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
And this thought, and of course, this is also, it's not a new thought. It's something that Eastern medicine understands and believes. And for whatever reason, here in the States, especially, we're not exposed to that kind of thinking, at least publicly. School
Right.
systems don't teach it. The doctors don't talk about it so very much. But when it comes to Eastern medicine, that's pretty much the basis and foundation. So I must have picked it up from somewhere, reading something somewhere, and it kind of trickled in, and I called it my own. I went, oh, that sounds really good. So I held on to that belief. It sounded right.
I love it. Okay. So now, how long was this journey? I mean, you discovered, okay, something about minerals and the hair. How long did this journey take you from then to where you are now?
So the journey of finding out, and saying that morning, I'm going to be your next client. I started the program, and within the program is basically you get your hair analyzed, you get a consultation that makes sense of your symptoms, you get the personalized program of supplements and lifestyle that kind of puts you on your right path. And those little changes that I made, lifestyle changes, the supplements, food, things I thought I was doing that was healthy that were totally not. And in hindsight, I'm like, oh, okay, that really makes sense now. But making those little changes, I started to receive healing reactions right away. Within a couple of weeks, I started having emotional healing reactions. Within a few months, I noticed that my fibromyalgia was getting a lot better. I had constant muscle aches and pains. I had osteoarthritis in the L4-5. I was kind of hunched over when I went to stand up and walk. That took the longest to clear. So the time frame, everything that I had been diagnosed with or had symptoms from, eventually went away in time. And I can't use the word cure because I'm not a doctor, but there you go. and I've been doing this now for 8 years. So I'll say that.
Wow. Okay. So I'm all about learning how to feel your emotions, process and release and all of that, because there's so much information that our emotions can give us if we take time to look at that and realize that. And I'm curious, when you say that you started, healing right away with your emotions, now what did that look like?
I love this story. Oh, I cannot forget it. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit. It was early 2000s when I lost my grandmother. And at that time, my kids were really, really, like, I'm pointing small, but they're shorter than me, of course, at the time, like 2-3 years old, something like that. And they're now 21, 22. So a long time ago, my grandmother passed away, my grandmother. And I remember being at the funeral, not being able to grieve, not having a feeling of, sorrow about all of that. And I kept looking around going, oh God, I hope nobody notices, because this is really embarrassing that I can't muster whatever emotion it is. I knew something was off, but I didn't know how to put it into words, and I didn't know why. So this is now cut to 2010.
Okay.
So almost 10 years later, I have just started the program. I'm sitting in bed. This is 2 weeks in maybe, just starting the program. And all of a sudden I'm in bed and I start to see my grandmother's face in my mind's eye.
Okay.
And all of a sudden the sorrow, the grief, all of that washed over me. And over a course of about 5 minutes, I was through the process. And that was my very first healing reaction. It was an emotional healing. And that emotion was so big, my body was having a hard time mustering enough energy to process it. And all of these other chronic conditions were just lined up in order, underneath it, that needed to be healed, and it couldn't get there. So this had to go first. And the body knew that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that myself, but my body knew that. And so that's why I love that I don't have to tell anybody's body what to do next. There's no need for a liver cleanse here or a gallbladder flush there. It's whatever the body has already picked out as priority, it works on.
That is powerful. Okay, I'm glad you remember that story too. That is really powerful. So for those that are watching us live, if you have questions, or, if you are resonating with some of what Eva is sharing with us today, please do go ahead and comment or ask her questions now while she's here. And this is like so fascinating, and it's, oh goodness. So let me just take a quick look and see if we have any. Hey, we've got a visitor with us. Hello, Scott. So good to see you here with us. And okay, so Eva, you had this emotional release, and I imagine that looked like a variety of things. It looks like, I'm going to guess, a lot of crying. And go ahead.
Well, what's interesting about healing reactions is that you don't experience them in the same, what do I want to call it? The same, not the volume, but the same intensity. That's the word. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah, you don't experience them in the same intensity. So, for example, I'll give you another one. So when I was 20 years old, I came down with scarlet fever. Who has scarlet fever these days? Yeah. Wow. Me. My immune system was so messed up that I contracted an almost dead disease. It's like learning to speak Latin. There was no use for it. It was kind of pointless. Wow. And so that was 20. So now cut to when I started the program, I was 36. And let's see, it was 5-6 months in, maybe a little longer. And scarlet fever, if you know anything about it, it's a 6-week-long process where you get little red patches of rough skin all over your body. You do have a fever. You feel like you're going to die. They put you on heavy antibiotics for 6 weeks, and they quarantine you in your home. They tell you do not leave. So people were ding-dong ditching my food so I could live. Okay, so this is a state of being you remember when you lived through it. So the healing reaction, I woke up with full-blown scarlet fever. Now, it didn't last for 6 days. It lasted for 3, or not 6 weeks, rather, for 3 days. Okay. And I understood what was going on because I'd already gone through a couple of other healing reactions, and I went, my body never did get rid of that virus. So that's the interesting, isn't it? Aren't we told to take the antibiotic to kill the virus? Yeah, it so doesn't. So yeah, it's only when your body has enough energy to truly fight it off, its own internal energy, its own vitality, then it will fight it off, kill it, and alleviate your body from it. And that's what happened.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm turning things on its head. Yeah.
Well, okay. So, I mean, the other thing I hear is that, wow, well, you're, up to now, anyway, your life has been about a healing journey, about learning how to experience sickness. I love that you said, what you practically brought an illness from the dead and to experience it again, right? Yeah. And you learned how to heal naturally. And I know that when we're in the thick of things, when we're in the middle of, a storm, it can be so challenging to see what's beyond, right? What purpose does this, this frustration, this pain, this sadness, what purpose does this serve? And oh my goodness, if you keep following the trail, you can freaking blaze a whole new health system through hair. And so I love it.
Well, yeah. I say now that I was lucky to be sick so young so that I could go through all of this. And there's so many things that I did go through. And now when people hear the stories, or when I run into them on the street, or we have conversation, they'll share with me what they're going through right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, I had that. Oh yeah, I had that. I had fibromyalgia. I had chronic fatigue. I had anxiety, and it's gone now. And so it gives me the opportunity to be my own best billboard.
Yeah.
And give people some hope beyond just taking the next pill popping medication that is just covering up the issue. It's not really solving it.
Okay, so I love that you mentioned that, right? This one, that one, and you've learned how to move beyond it. So I have a question for you. I was able to connect with a brilliant human the other day, and she set forth for herself that, she's open to being cured of her lupus. And I am curious what your thoughts are. Is there anything that, that you found that isn't transformational? Why can I find the right word? You know what I mean? Can't be transformed. There you go. Right. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So, there are things that this works for. Absolutely. The chronic conditions are so easy to deal with. The body just soaks up the minerals and utilizes them. Detoxing heavy metals is another one. And it's interesting how many people have conditions that root causes are heavy metals. So when it comes to something that's either cancer-like or fast-moving, even heart disease, liver disease, those things, not so much a good fit for this. It's maybe after you've gone through whatever the treatment is for those and come to a place where you're in remission. And my own personal experience in my family as well, post-cancer rebuilding that immune system is so, so important. And that's where I focus. And it makes a lot of sense to do that, just because this program is so gentle and slow that the cancer wouldn't get the effect that it needed, especially if you're going through a traditional medicine recovery, like chemotherapy. Well, chemotherapy is a toxin. So you can't do a detox protocol while you've got a toxin in your body to get rid of it's like you have to weigh out what it works for and what it doesn't. And that's one of the primary reasons why I talk to everybody before I sign them up for working with me, because I want to make sure it's going to work for them, as opposed to just saying, oh, this is a one size fits all opportunity. It's not.
So what does the program look like? If someone's like, I want to do this, what does that look like?
So it's really easy, because it just starts with the hair. So we're getting a hair sample that pinpoints the problem. We find out exactly what's going on in the body, what metabolism layers need, stopping any patterns of habits that people have that are keeping them sick, that they don't know are keeping them sick, introducing new patterns that are going to support healing. And then, of course, it's about introducing the minerals that are going to support an already really good daily diet. And I don't like to call it a diet. It's more like a framework. Okay. So there's some corrections that can be made over time. And I always meet with the person wherever they are. In other words, if they have a really bad diet and they're not eating regularly throughout the day, the first job for me is to get them to eat regularly. And then we go to the next step. So I'm not trying to make them do something unachievable. They've got to succeed, otherwise it doesn't work. Okay. So they have the first test, then we go through those changes, and we sit down every 2 weeks and make those changes evident. So it's a co-created, what's going on with you, what changes need to be made, and then we move to the next step, and we create that healing path forward. So it's really nice. Everybody's a little different. Then at the end of 4 months, we do a retest, and we see what has changed, what the metabolic needs are of the body now, which could be completely changed. I mean, I see this all the time. We'll go from one test to the next test in 4 months, and we'll see that they need entirely different supplements.
Wow.
Yeah. And if they were to stay on those same supplements that they first were using, then they would actually revert. So it's so important on something like this, where it's based on the hair, that you stay up to date. And most people need a process like this for at least a year. So you're looking at 3 tests total, if not 2 years. So depending on what's going on with them, they could be on something like this for a while. Because listen, you spend your whole life building up these imbalances. You're not going to get rid of them in a 10-day cleanse. It just isn't going to happen.
Right. Are there certain food, eating habits or foods that you notice a lot of people are eating when they first come to you and they need to kind of move away from? Or
yeah, just curtail. The biggest one is wine. Everybody.
La 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 la.
All right, so I say this in seriousness and in jest. I love my wine. I'm a whiskey person. I'm a whiskey snob. I'm a wine snob. I'm a coffee snob and a tea snob. And I got to say, I quit them all in order to get my body a new foundation. And then as it's stronger, I was able to reintroduce. So I'll share something. I used to not be able to drink a glass of wine and be okay the next day. It would take me 4 days to recover from 1 glass of wine. This is back years in my early 30s when my body was very depleted. And now I can have 2 glasses of wine in a night and not be bothered, but I can't do that every night, and nor would I want to. But that seems to be the mainstay of it, isn't it? We have coffee that runs through our veins during the day, and then we go home at night and we're like, I need something to rest, to calm my mind, to take the edge off, is what we say. And then there goes a couple of shots of tequila or a couple of glasses of wine and turn into the whole bottle. And then you're like, what happened? So eventually that causes other problems, and that cascade into more serious things like even liver disease. And we don't want that. So it's about building the body up back into a good foundation. And you can do that with food to some degree. And food, the most popular ones that I immediately are telling people to stop eating is bananas.
That's a shocker to me. Okay, why? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's so a lot of us in the States, we have a really poor digestive system. It's like we go to eat something and we're not getting enough nutrients out of the food we're eating. Okay. And bananas in particular, they have a lot of fructose in them. This is the sugar galore, right? Okay. So fructose from fruit in particular, it does not process out of the body like other things do, like salt and like minerals, other minerals and other things. It processes out through the liver. Okay. So fructose takes up the time the liver would be using to detox. So I always ask the question when I'm asking people, I said, would you mind if we stop the massive amounts of bananas that you're eating? Why is that, Eva? And I says, well, what would you rather your liver work on? Detoxing or dealing with the sugar you just gave it? So
good point.
So if you're going to eat one, just know you're stopping your detox for a little bit.
Okay, so it's okay to eat bananas, but not while you're detoxing.
Well, and here's the thing. When you're on a program like this, you're always detoxing.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to find the workaround.
I know you are. I'm familiar with the squirming.
Sure. Oh my gosh, she doesn't know how much I love my frozen bananas even. I just love it. I'm going to block Eva if I post about how much I love my frozen bananas.
Because I'll make some nasty comment about it now, and I know you know better. No, that's a big one. And the other one is the nightshade family. So you got tomatoes, eggplant, potatoes, and bell peppers. Peppers are not vegetables. They're fruits. So are tomatoes. We know better than to put them in a fruit salad, but they're still fruit. So they're hard to digest. And so that's the other question. It's like, would you rather work on digesting food that doesn't want to be digested because you just need more support in your digestive system? Or would you rather, go through healing reactions and build your foundation? So this is the conversation that I have a lot with a lot of people. Eva,
you're hitting on all my favorites. I love tomatoes.
I'm Italian. So that's, I mean, imagine, right? All of the foods that we would eat, and then bread on top of that. And I went gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, alcohol-free, coffee-free. There must have been something else. I did all of that at once.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't ask anybody to do the same thing. I just did.
So this isn't quite the same as clean eating. It's like it's its own version of eating.
Yeah. You build up your own. I mean, we want to simplify the diet so that it's meant to. It's a phytonutrient diet. It's really meant to give you all of the nutrients you need from mostly cooked vegetables, and then protein as well. And those two together is enough. And I don't count calories. I don't ask you to weigh anything. I mean, keep meals really simple. You can eat out knowing what the framework is. It's not that strict. Is like once you get used to it, you're like, oh, this isn't that bad at all. You don't want to eat processed food, junk food, fast food.
Right.
That cuts out, for some people, that cuts out their entire diet.
Well, I'm not going to claim that one. I'm not there. So, but if you're there, that's okay. And it's awesome that there are people like Eva who have done all this work to be able to show us what shifts to make. And okay, so now let's talk about minerals. Do you tend to find, are there like, I guess the same minerals for all the people that come to you? Like, oh, you're missing this one, so we're going to start with this. Or is it like different ones for different people when they first come to you?
Well, there's different ones in different relationships, because it's not so much the individual minerals that I'm looking at. It's the relationship of minerals and how they work symbiotically in the body that matter. That's what gives us the energy to do everything we need to do. Okay. So it's like, you ever had a blood test taken and the doctor's like, oh, you're really low in iron in your blood. Here's an iron pill, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so I don't know very many people who go back for the follow-up blood test to see that iron pill helped, but most of the time it does not. It actually gets worse. And there's a reason for that.
Man. Are you feeling me? Let us know how you're responding to this too. Okay.
We've been taught the wrong thing for so long. Yeah, it's that iron pill that causes all kinds of problems. But if our food is so fortified with iron, how could we be depleted of iron? Seriously? Right? So when our body is not processing iron, it stores it. And where does it store it? It stores it in our heart, our kidneys, and our liver. Okay. And these are the places where inflammation then occurs. And then we have things like high blood pressure and heart problems, heart palpitations. I mean, things come from this. And we need to, like, it's more about what does iron need what diet item do we need in order to process the iron so that it's working properly and utilized. And that's what I do. So it's about creating that relationship between the different minerals and getting them to work symbiotically so that they process out and become to a more ideal state is the best way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does this work for a person who's just hearing about this and they're like, oh my goodness, I think I want to work with Eva. Do they just like give you one piece of their hair, one strand, or?
No, it's a little bit more. I was looking for I have a scale. So I have a hair test kit. So after I speak with somebody over the phone and I'm like, yes, I do want to do this, I enroll them and I send them. Now, if they live here in LA and they want to come visit me and my cats, they're more than welcome. I'll cut their hair sample for them. There's no plucking. It's completely painless, but I have clients all over the world. So what I do is I send a kit, and the kit contains a scale so that you don't cut too much or too little, instructions on how to cut it, and then a little envelope where all of that goes, and that mails back to me. So it just takes a couple of weeks for me to process everything with the lab, and then we sit down like this. It's over the internet with I control the screen. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I want you to see the same thing that I'm talking about. No looking at your phone, and so no distractions. I'm on it. We go through the whole thing, making sense of symptoms, checking on how to start the program and get them started on the supplements and the diet. So that's as simple as it is. I walk them through the whole process.
That sounds awesome. It almost sounds like, how there's, what is it? Like the DNA stuff people can send out to find out their, their results? It sounds like that. Like, oh, I'll just send you my hair. Tell me, what can you see about me?
Yeah. I used to say this is just like receiving a personalized gift you didn't know you needed or wanted, but once you got it, you're like, how could I ever live without this? Exactly like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, so a person who maybe doesn't feel like they necessarily have anything wrong going on with them, but maybe they just want to check in to see how their body chemistry is having that symbiotic relationship or not. They could contact you and do this? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a program that's just for the looky-loos, I call them.
It's okay if you're a looky-loo. It sounds awesome. I agree.
Yep. Yeah, it is. So it's called the Discovery Reveal, and they just send their hair in to me, and I will process it minimally. They'll still get the recommendations and a written consultation. It's not live, but they get a ton of information. And if they want to upgrade and then work with me, I just apply that to the programs, and whichever one they choose, they can go with. And it's really, really, really simple. It can be done from anywhere, which is what I love.
Wow. Can you share with us? You shared with us your story already. Can you share with us, some stories of some other people who you've worked with and what their results were like?
Sure. I mean, I'll give you one that was almost I would even say more dramatic than my own. I have a client that's still working with me, started not quite 2 years ago. And he called me in a panic, absolute panic, was losing weight to the degree where he was 30 pounds underweight, was not able to hold food in his body anymore. Doctors couldn't help him, and they were putting him on medications and stuff, and lost the ability to enjoy being married. I'll put it that way. Had 5 kids and couldn't work. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Wow. And over the course of time, I would say within the first couple of weeks, we regulated what was going on with his food so that it started to stay in him. And then he started to gain weight, and over the depression lifted. He's able now to go back to work full time, and he's been working for a little while. He's taking care of his kids, making lunches, happily married, and enjoying that situation again. So that's a dramatic shift. I've seen subtle shifts that made a difference. I had a client local to us here in LA who sought me out on Google, and she was looking for a nutritionist, and she is also she's a life coach. And she sought me out, found me, came over, tested her hair, and I'm like, what is going on? And her energy was bouncing off the wall. She was just unable to focus and really kind of the energy felt like desperation. I need to fix this, because if I don't, I'm going to lose everything. That's kind of what it came down to. And over the course of the next 3 months, we had her stabilized, and her energy just calmed down, and her clients started to notice. They're like, what are you doing? So we have people who are noticing that kind of shift and change, and just getting the body to simply rest, to calm down so that it can heal itself makes a huge difference in how well we can be present with people. And so there's subtle shifts that make a big difference. And then, of course, you've got that other shift, the dramatic, very dramatic shift where all those things were wrong with him. I've worked with both extremes, people who are in an absolute panic, dire straits, and those who don't even realize that they are but they just know they need help. And yeah.
Wow. Okay, let me just take a quick look here again. If you are watching us live, feel free to go ahead and comment below. Let us know if you have any questions. Eva is talking all about nutrition and I'm going to just keep using your word, symbiotic relationship within our body and with the minerals that you've got going on. And all it takes to start is looking at your hair, and she can do this analysis and support you in, what do you say, regaining your health or your wellness?
Well, it's rebuilding your foundation. And this work takes you far past working with me. This is something that you can take with you far into your later ages and have much less likelihood of being on a prescription medication and being dependent upon it later in life, which is really, I think, isn't that the goal? We want to be able to retire and travel and have fun and spend our money on that and not on medications. And they say that that's like the number one thing people do, right? They're spending all their money on, right? They make all this great money, their wealth, and then they spend their wealth in later years on medications staying alive.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's such a common story that I don't blame anyone if they actually, like, without even realizing it, maybe in this moment you're going, yeah, I thought that's what happened. It doesn't have to happen. That's the thing.
That's right.
You have to. We can choose something different. And I love that you're bringing that up. I agree. You know, don't settle for a career that you don't love. Don't, work always waiting for, the weekend or next month or next year or retirement. And then, you can't do anything because then you just die because you aren't feeling well.
Yes.
I mean, it just, it's anyway. Yeah. So, okay. So one of the things I love that you said that, you maybe, I'm laughing at myself, you cut out the wine for a little bit. And then once you get things back up, you can maybe have wine again or start to reintroduce some of those things you loved. Can you tell, so how does that work?
How does that work? So if you imagine that you're standing on one leg.
Yeah.
You're off balance. Now, having a glass of wine or some whiskey or, food that is not so good for you is like somebody coming along and bumping you. It's much harder to keep your balance. Now, as you rebuild your body's chemistry and rebuild the foundation, you're standing on both feet. Now, if somebody comes along and bumps you, you're more able to recover. And really, that's what it is.
Okay, got it. Awesome.
Okay.
What tips do you have for someone, let's say someone's, they're interested in this, they're thinking about it, but they're not really sure. I'm just curious, can you look at your hair and go, oh yeah, something's going on. I should get this tested.
Yeah. So I had the two-prong approach when I was sick. One was going to the doctor and saying, hey, what's wrong with me? And the other one was going to get beauty treatments. So you get the keratin treatment, you get your nails done, you have your hair colored, you get the facials done. Okay, all of these things are signs and symptoms. So you can actually look at yourself, and if you know how to look and what questions to ask, you can tell if you have a zinc imbalance or a copper imbalance or something else is going on. Okay. So the texture of your hair matters. If you're going gray early, if you're not growing your eyebrows all the way out to the corners of your eye, you can, the beauty trick, right? You draw the line from the corner of the nose, right, to the edge of the eye. Yeah. And your eyebrow, the eyeliner should end right here, right? Okay. So if it doesn't, and mine didn't. So for you, now you can see it's grown all the way over. But yeah, psoriasis, skin disorders, bruising easily, having those, you ever seen those little white marks in your nails grow out? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a zinc imbalance. Damn it.
I have no comment. Keep talking.
I'll send you a kit. All right. And then
come on. What is that? I guess I need some zinc. I need to stop drinking wine, eating tomatoes and bananas.
Oh my goodness. We got a lot of work to do, Kim.
Okay. I want to know all about so wait, so your hair literally started regrowing, your eyebrows?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this, that when their hair falls out, right? This is a huge industry of people getting alopecia corrected. And of the 13 different ways you could lose your hair, 12 of them are nutrition related. Only one is genetic, right? Wow. So one of the very first things people say to me when they get on all these supplements and they change their diet and they look at their lifestyle and they start getting rid of toxins out of their environment is, oh, wow, my nails are growing nice and long. I've never been able to grow my nails long, and these are my natural nails.
Oh, wow. So nice.
Yeah. And their hair is growing nice and long and strong. And it grows back in again. So things that were falling out in clumps, I get people who say, oh my God, I'm losing a lot of hair. And it's in the bottom of the shower, right? They can see it. And they're so concerned about it. When I tell them I need more hair to test, they say, can I grab the stuff from the bottom of the shower?
Ew. Okay, good. Please, don't do that.
I've heard every question to try to keep people from cutting hair. Even bald guys are like, well, I don't have any hair up here. And I'm like, honey, you got hair somewhere.
I was going to ask you about that. What is the bald person? I mean, is it like nose hairs, arm hairs, or other areas?
I love you, Kim. So yeah, beard hair. Beard hair is good. Okay. Chest hair for both men and women.
Okay. That's like... You're funny, Eva.
and hair from the nether regions. It all works. Yeah. The best though is the hair from the back of the head. It grows the most consistently, and it's nice and gives us really good information. So.
Okay. So I love that you mentioned alopecia, because some people don't have any hair whatsoever. Now, can you work with them at all, or do they need to go see someone else, or how does that work?
That's kind of hard. I mean, because of how things process out, it's being dropped into the soft tissue, which is your hair and your nails. And I know that there are labs that will test nail clippings. Mine doesn't. So that's a hard one. Yeah.
Well, okay. So no, that's good to know. Wow. Okay. So Scott is laughing it up with us.
I saw that.
Thank you, Scott. I know, right? This is wow. I had no idea this is going to be so funny. This is awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and start to tell people, where can they, find out more about this and connect with you and see if it's right fit.
Well, on Facebook, I have a club, which is really easy to connect with me on. It's called True Holistic Healing Club. Okay. And I give tips and tricks, and I do interviews in there, and I talk about, I'm going to start going on some rants on things that people tell me that I'm like, no, really, that's unbelievable. It's like, I was walking out, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I'll answer the question. I was walking out of a Subway, and there's these five guys sitting around a table, construction. This is back when I was in construction too. And one of them goes, I'm walking out, and one of them catches my ear, and he says, yeah, we should eat some sugar at the end of the meal. It really helps with our digestion. And I'm like, should I say something? And I kept walking. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. But I want to go on rants on stuff like this. I'm like, we've been taught the wrong thing for so long. So we can learn more about how to support our bodies correctly in that True Holistic Healing Club. The other way is to go to my website, which is theelevateinstitute.com. Don't forget the at the beginning. So theelevateinstitute.com. And on there, you'll find, we were talking about how to look for imbalances in hair and nails and stuff. There's a free assessment, a free illness assessment right on the front. So you click on that, and you can take the assessment, and if you answer the questions honestly, it'll direct you whether or not you have an imbalance, and maybe you should go ahead and get your hair tested. So,
wow. Okay, so I've never heard, we should eat sugar at the end of a meal because it helps with whatever. I've always heard, the opposite, right? Like cut out sugar altogether, basically. But here's what's so cool about that is because you are in a position where you know so much that it sounds like you probably have more of those moments, or at least are starting to, where you hear these odd things that other people have heard or learned along the way. Yeah. And it's just amazing to hear just things that I would never expect to hear someone say that. But wow, that certainly tells you, there's a ton of people who are really going to benefit from what you have to share.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just stuff that we've been, it's funny who we listen to, when it comes to health. We listen to our best friends sometimes, or we listen to, Dr. Oz, or maybe Oprah said something, or it's in an article. It's like, why aren't we getting personal about this? Why we test our blood, we test our blood pressure, we test our cholesterol. Why aren't we testing our hair? And first and foremost, we don't know why. We don't even know about it. So I'm trying to change that. So thank you for having me on to share about this. It's like, so once you know about it, then you can know to add that to your list of things to do every year, so that you can see what's going on in your body. And then if you see the changes, you can catch them before they show up in the blood and before you actually get the symptoms. And that's, I think, more important, because the more people we can keep from doing what I had to go through, where I lost my job time and time again and burnt out, and I could take care of myself instead, I would much rather do that. I would much rather catch them in that place where they're still successful, still building, up the ladder in corporate America, if they choose to do that, or if they need to support their own entrepreneurship. We can't afford to be sick. Let's not be sick for stupid reasons. So I would consider these are totally doable in repairing and easily. So.
Oh my goodness. Is there, we're nearing the end of the show. I don't really want to go yet, but I don't know. I'll just, we're nearing the end of the show. Are there any other tips, or, is there anything you really want to share that you really want people to know? Well, that we haven't already talked about.
Yeah, I know there's so much. I mean, my favorite subject matter is hydration. It's all about water. And I talk about the how much, what type, and how much, what type, and when. And they seem like pretty rudimentary questions. You're like, what do you mean? There's specifics to drinking water. I thought it was just water. Can't we drink it whenever we want to? No. No.
Does this bring up filtered versus unfiltered? Is that?
Well, that too. So the kind of water I recommend just spring or carbon filtered water. Don't waste your money on reverse osmosis or an alkaline water. That's not where our body gets our nutritional balancing for alkalinity and acidity throughout the body. Think about it. Your stomach has to be acidic.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's not a popular viewpoint. It's just a factual one when it comes to nutritional balancing.
Nice.
So there's that. And then you have your volume of, and whenever you're going through a detox of any kind, 3 quarts is what the kidneys need to flush it out. That's a lot of water. Yeah. So I say drink a pint at a time. Your bladder can hold a pint.
Wow. Okay.
So just drink a pint, right?
Okay.
And a whole glass like this, that's a full pint. Replace your beer, I guess you could say. And yeah, you can do it. And then the win is between meals. So stop drinking so much water with your dang food.
Oh, okay. Well, and also if you're detoxing and this is what I've learned anyway, when you're detoxing and feeling hungry, drink some water first, because that water really helps you to not feel that hunger and want to get off the detox plan.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. It can also make you very tired. So if you're dehydrated, especially if you're, being really productive at your desk and all of a sudden you realize I want to fall asleep, maybe just a glass of water will help.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. I remember one time, and this has happened to me too, but I remember when it happened to a friend, she was like, oh my gosh, I've got this awful headache. She drinks some water. I'm just like, oh, it's gone. She just was thirsty. Her body was dehydrated.
Yeah. And this is all about listening to your body, isn't it? It's like, if we can learn how to interpret the signs, the communication of our body, and then go, oh, that's what that means, and give the body what it needs, that's it. Then things just take care of themselves. The
other thing I love is that I feel like we're moving into a space and time where we're learning that we can transform what may seem like a really complex, deep, challenging situation through something that sounds really simple. And, I'm not saying that actually what you do is simple, but it's simple for the person that can come work with you to go, oh, I just have to give her some of my hair. That's simple. And, and it's like it's becoming easier to find ways to health and wellness, and those unknowns. You were going to the doctor and they were saying, here, just take a pill or do this or that. And it was something else beyond that, things that we may not even realize that are, the answers are right there. And so it's wonderful that there are people like you coming forward with these, services to be able to help people that are in that space.
Yeah, no, and I believe that at some point in the future, I don't know how many generations it's going to take, but don't you find it odd that we don't know when something's off inside our body? Like, we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So this bridges the gap in the meantime between our consciousness developing into a place where we can, and that I think is very important.
Yes, I completely agree. Yes, I totally get what you're saying. Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, Eva, remind everyone again, where can they go to connect with you?
2 places. The first one is True Holistic Healing Club on Facebook. And the second one is the website, theelevateinstitute.com.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Eva, thank you so much for being my guest today. I thoroughly loved connecting with you, hearing your story, and then also learning all about the health and hair and how you really are helping people. Okay, sure. I'm going back to those moments where I'm like, okay, I got to do a little free test right now. Yes. But
it's THE Elevate Institute. Yeah. No.
Let me do it right now. We've still got 7 minutes. I'll check my results. Kidding. No, this, awareness is the first thing. It's so funny. I find myself often saying, this is the first thing. That's the first thing. There's a lot of firsts, but awareness is certainly one of them, and saying yes, right? So maybe you're in a space where you're thinking, this is really intriguing. I'm really interested. I have had some odd things going on with my body. I'm not quite sure. You know what? Just say yes. Why not give it a shot and see what you learn about yourself? I think, you do yourself such a service by allowing yourself to be aware and learning more. So anyway, so thank you so much for being here, Eva. I really appreciate it. And I had fun speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast. I loved it.
Good. I'm glad. And thank you for watching. Please let us know, what are you taking away from today's conversation? What has this stirred up for you? Or maybe new ahas came through for you that you realized, oh, maybe I need to check out my hair. Or, you know what? Oh, I thought bananas were doing something, whatever it is for you. What are you taking away from today's conversation? We'd love to connect with you and be able to respond afterwards. And if you'd like to find out about future Every Day is a New Day shows, you can go to @Kim O'Neill Coaching on Facebook, which is also titled Every Day is a New Day Show and Coaching, and click on the events tab, find out about future episodes. I am going to be switching things up a little bit in 2019, but more awesome guests like Eva today are going to be coming on the show, and I'm so excited for what's coming. And if you'd like to also do a free strategy session with me to learn how you can actually love what you do so you can love your life more and make that desired career transition, then yes, visit me over on KimO'NeillCoaching.com and book your free strategy session today. And Kim O'Neill, or O'Neill, is O'Neill. With that said, please always remember, every day is always a new day. Always, always, always. No matter where you are today, it does not have to be where you are tomorrow. And as much as we can fall into these habits and patterns of thinking that nothing is ever changing, hello, we have people like Eva bringing to us new, exciting, eye-opening information that helps us see that, oh my gosh, there can be something different. So I hope you will always remember that. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.